Hi everybody, it's Root Access, and you know the drill. Let's get to the questions.
Okay.
Let's just jump right in. We're excited. Apple geniuses do a lot of repairs, some easier than others. Some, let's admit it, people could do themselves. Putting an airport card in, for example.
Well, that's not a repair, but okay.
However, there are some tricky take-aparts and repairs, and I thought we'd talk about that and maybe advise folks also on what repairs they just should not try on their own under any circumstances.
So we're just going, well, let's mix this all
mix
up.
It up. It's mashups.
Well,
Kids love their mashups.
Let's just say, for the record, that you shouldn't do any repair that's under warranty. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. Your only chance is to make something worse, and then it's not covered under warranty. You paid for the warranty, or you might as well get Apple to repair it. But if you had a computer out of warranty and you were going to attempt it yourself, I mean, certainly if you have any of these old CRT computers, which I don't know if anyone has any of those anymore.
Might have some Emacs.
Yeah, some Emacs or old iMacs. They can be dangerous.
Deadly.
Yeah, they can be deadly. They can kill you because what is it? I can't remember.
Cathode ray tube, yes.
Holds an electrical discharge or electrical surge.
Electrical charge that could discharge. All this stuff. This show's brought to you by Corona. Holds an electrical charge.
Exactly. And if you don't discharge it properly, if you touch the capacitor, you could zap yourself.
Now, just so again, with any of the computers with a CRT, we're pretty much saying if you have to go inside, stay away. But having said that, what kind of repairs, I mean, was it any time the case was off you would discharge it, or what kind of repair would lead to you having to discharge it first?
I think, if I remember now, anytime like the outer shell was off, it was recommended that you discharge it as more as a precaution. Even though if you're touching the hard drive, there's not really a chance of anything happening. But.
It's interesting how you do it with one hand. We're not going to tell you because then you're going to try it at home and then you're going to disaster. So CRTs, if you got to go inside, don't do it. Yeah. Okay, check.
And then for the most part, I mean, any of the portable computers are going to be usually a little more complicated than the desktops. It's a smaller computer, a lot of screws, everything's, cramped in there. Some things are taped down.
On another segment, you did a replacement of a hard drive on an iBook. And, while it's not terribly complicated, you do have to know what you're doing just in terms of all the screws that have to come out and getting them back where they need to go. I understand, like the 12-inch PowerBook's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, the 12, unless things have changed maybe with the MacBook Air, which I'm not sure. But for a while, the 12-inch PowerBook was like the worst portable to take apart because, for the most part, anything you did to it involved like taking out the logic board. If you need, you could replace the hard drive fine, but if you need to replace the optical drive, you had to take out the logic board, and it was a lot of parts, a lot of screws, and I did like one or two, and I was never really comfortable doing them. Some guys were great; they could just rip through it, no problem. But it was certainly the most complicated. And that's really the way all portables are, although now, like the MacBooks and the Mac Pros the MacBook Pros they're getting easier to take apart. Apple seems to have corrected some of their errors in the past. They realize that, yes, at some point somebody might have to take this apart.
Put a new hard drive in.
Yep, so they're making it a little bit easier.
Now, you would think a tower would be pretty easy, pretty safe, but I understand there are some concerns with the G5 towers that had the liquid cooling.
Well, I mean, like going back to like the G4 towers, G3 towers, those things were as easy as anything to get inside. The G5 towers, well, the liquid cooling, the ones that have liquid cooling, I think it's really only an issue if it could potentially leak, but that you'd have to actually damage it, or it could be defective. So
if your computer is leaking, you probably don't want to try to repair it yourself.
No, I think they say this could be toxic. I'm not 100% sure though.
Okay.
But for the most part, the G5 towers and then the Mac towers, if you've never taken one apart, it gets a little complicated in terms of the tools you need. Some of the wrenches and whatnot, you need to be very certain length to get down in there, remove the screws.
That is one tricky thing about it, because I know when I went to do a hard drive replacement on an iMac, basically the first two levels of screws are standard Phillips heads, and you get down to the actual drive and you're ready to take it out, and then you have a crazy kind of screw in there. And I I don't know. What do you think that is? Do you think that's intentional to make you have to?
No, I mean, I think the reason why companies use like the torque screws is they're designed not to strip. So they're actually a better screw to use.
Okay.
Especially with like small electronics. But most people don't have a torque wrench laying around their house. So they end up trying to use like an Allen wrench.
Right.
They strip, yeah, like you can kind of make it work, but
yeah.
You know, so that's why it really doesn't make sense to attempt a lot of these repairs. And plus, unless you have the take apart manuals, I mean, all the geniuses don't. I mean, after a while, you get familiar with the repairs, and you can do them by memory. But for, you know, the first few times you do it, we have a take apart guide.
You have it up on the screen.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
so you know what has to come off first. You know, in order to do, you know, remove the hard drive, you need to take off, you know, 1 and 2 first.
Okay, so there you go. CRTs, don't touch them. Small laptops, probably not worth your time and effort to try to do it yourself because just bring it in.
Yeah.
Have them do it. Towers, you're pretty safe. It's going to get... Now, bear in mind...
The old towers.
The old towers, and also we're talking about repairs. Upgrades in the new towers are easy.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to put RAM in or a hard drive, that's easy. But if a processor needs replaced or a new power supply or something like that, again, you might as well head on into the store and... have them take a look at it. If you have AppleCare, don't even worry about it.
And also stay away from the Coronas.
Before you go on the air. Don't record after Coronas. That's our tip, folks, and we'll see you next time. I'm thirsty.